Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the Quarantine Report. I'm Amy Goodman. President Trump threatened to thwart the $900 billion bipartisan coronavirus relief package, which he called a disgrace in a video released on Twitter Tuesday night.
Asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple. I'm also asking Congress to immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation and to send me a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package, and maybe that administration will be me.
Trump did not say whether he would veto the bill, which passed with a veto-proof majority. Top Democrats seized on his remarks Tuesday night to repeat their own calls for higher direct payments. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer reminded Trump Republicans blocked the move. Pelosi tweeted, "Democrats are ready to bring this to the floor this week by unanimous consent. Let's do it." And progressive Congress members Rashida Tlaib and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted last night they already prepared an amendment to add the $2,000 payments to the bill. Senator Schumer responded to AOC's tweet, quote, "I'm in. What'd you say, Mitch?" This comes as the United States is averaging over 200,000 new COVID-19 cases per day, with record-breaking deaths and hospitalizations. 2020 was the deadliest year ever in U.S. history, mostly due to the pandemic. The country's on track to top 3.2 million deaths this year, over 400,000 more deaths than in 2019. President Trump issued 15 pardons and 5 commutations Tuesday, including pardons for 4 former Blackwater contractors involved in a massacre in Iraq, 3 corrupt former Republican lawmakers, 2 people convicted in Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election, and 2 Border Patrol agents convicted of shooting an undocumented immigrant. The Blackwater guards included Nicholas Sladden, who was sentenced to life in prison after being convicted of first-degree murder for his role in the 2007 Nisour Square massacre, when he and other Blackwater mercenaries opened fire with machine guns and grenades on a crowded public space in Baghdad, killing 17 unarmed civilians, including women and children. The youngest victim, a 9-year-old child named Ali Kanani. This is Ali's father, Mohammed, speaking to Jeremy Scahill and Rick Rowley in a short documentary called Blackwater's Youngest Victim.
It was horrific, extremely terrifying. I still wake up from sleep startled. Why, I ask, why would they do this? We are civilians sitting in our cars. Most of the cars had families in them. So why did this happen? I kept hearing boom, boom, boom in my car. Bullets were flying everywhere. It was horrific, horrific. I don't know how to describe it.
Blackwater was founded by Eric Prince, a close ally of President Trump. Prince's sister, Betsy DeVos, serves as education secretary. Go to democracynow.org to see our full coverage of the Nisour Square massacre. President Trump also pardoned Ignacio Ramos and Jose Campion, 2 former Border Patrol agents who were convicted in 2006 of shooting an unarmed Mexican man, then covering it up. A pardon was also given to George Papadopoulos, a 2016 campaign foreign policy advisor who pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI during its Russia investigation. The 3 former congressmen given pardons or commutations are all allies of President Trump. Duncan Hunter, who pleaded guilty to misusing campaign funds, Chris Collins, who pleaded guilty to insider trading. Both were the earliest congressional supporters of Trump. And Steve Stockman, who was convicted for stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars in charitable donations. Trump was pushed to commute Stockman's 10-year sentence by the conspiracy theorist lawyer Sidney Powell, who's been helping Trump try to overturn the November election. She has visited the White House a number of times this weekend. Trump also reduced the sentences of 3 women convicted of nonviolent drug crimes. President Trump is expected to grant more pardons in the coming weeks. On Tuesday, the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, Niels Melzer, urged Trump to pardon WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Meanwhile, Trump is reportedly considering granting legal immunity to the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, who is facing a federal lawsuit over a plot to assassinate a former top Saudi intelligence officer who now lives in Canada. Such a move may provide the legal basis to protect bin Salman over the killing of the Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. A new report has revealed at least 36 journalists at Al Jazeera were hacked using spyware made by the Israeli firm NSO. The hack was uncovered by the Citizen Lab at the University of Toronto, which tracks use of the software known as Pegasus that allows users to remotely exploit and monitor hacked devices. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates are believed to have been behind the attacks. The number of journalists killed in retaliation for their work more than doubled this year, with Mexico being the most dangerous country for journalists in 2020, followed by Afghanistan and the Philippines. This according to a new report by the Committee to Protect Journalists, which found at least 30 journalists have been killed around the world this year. In related news in Mexico, the former mayor of a small town in the state of Chihuahua has been arrested for complicity in the 2017 murder of La Jornada journalist Miroslava Breach. Hugo Ahmed Schultz is accused of providing information about Breach, who covered the drug war, to an organized crime group suspected of her murder. Israel is headed towards its fourth election in under 2 years after lawmakers failed to pass a national budget Tuesday's deadline, triggering an automatic dissolution of parliament. This comes as weekly protests continue against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over corruption charges and his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. In other news from the region, Israeli forces shot and killed a Palestinian teenager in occupied East Jerusalem Monday night. 17-year-old Mahmoud Omar Kamil was from the West Bank. In Canada, exiled Pakistani human rights activist Karima Merab Balok was found dead in Toronto this week. Her husband believes she went out on a walk Sunday and never returned home. Her body was found the next day. She fled Pakistan after receiving threats due to her human rights work in her home region of Balochistan. In 2016, the BBC named her as one of the 100 most influential women working in human rights. Earlier this year, another exiled activist from Balochistan, the journalist Sajid Hussain, was found dead in Sweden. Back in the United States, California Governor Gavin Newsom has appointed California Secretary of State Alex Padilla to replace Vice President-elect Kamala Harris in the U.S. Senate. Padilla will be the first Latinx senator to represent California, a state which is 40% Latinx. His parents immigrated from Mexico. In a video posted by Governor Newsom to Twitter, Padilla talks about how his family's background has shaped his political work.
I can't tell you how many pancakes my dad flipped or eggs he scrambled, trying to provide for us, or into the many, many years of my mom cleaning houses, doing the same thing. So I try so hard to make sure that our democracy is as inclusive in California as we built, and to have an important perspective to bring to Washington.
After Kamala Harris leaves the Senate to become vice president, there will be no black women U.S. senators. We'll have more on Alex Padilla later in the broadcast. The Justice Department suing Walmart for its role in fueling the country's opioid epidemic. The lawsuit accuses Walmart of filling thousands of invalid prescriptions, failing to report suspicious opioid prescriptions, and pressuring employees to fill orders quickly, even when they were not written for valid medical purposes. Some 450,000 people have died from opioid overdoses in the past 20 years. In Tacoma, Washington, the immigration advocacy group La Resistencia is reporting guards at the Northwest Detention Center have threatened a hunger striker with force feeding. Victor Fonseca, an asylum seeker from Venezuela, has been on hunger strike for over a month, protesting the ICE jail's dangerous conditions during the pandemic and demanding prisoners with underlying medical conditions be released. Fonseca is currently awaiting deportation. Here he is speaking from the prison at the start of his hunger strike.
¿Qué tengo que perder? Ya perdí todo.
What do I have to lose? I have already lost everything. I lost my freedom. I lost my family, my children. Enough is enough. I need to do this because otherwise I will die here.
According to La Resistencia, at least 20 prisoners at the Northwest Detention Center are currently on hunger strike. And in Chicago, over 1,500 essential workers staged a one-day strike Tuesday to demand safer conditions and hazard pay during the pandemic for all essential workers. Hospital, health, and maintenance workers, Cook County Clerk's Office workers, and employees from the Sheriff's Office say county officials have been refusing to negotiate as workers continue to serve essential frontline roles amidst the pandemic. This is Reverend James Phipps, who serves on SEIU's executive board for Cook County and was an organizer with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee during the Civil Rights Movement.
They disrespect us. They disrespect our union. But at the same time, they want us to support them financially for them to attain their goal. We're fighting for our family. We're fighting for economic justice for the community at large. And we understand that in this country, most of the black and brown people don't know what generational wealth is. Nothing never trickled down to them.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. The Quarantine Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York, joined by my co-host Juan Gonzalez in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.